Hello and welcome to Podongs, where we interview inspirational people in service to others as inspiration for a new song. Today, our guest is the writer Jenna Rozelle, and our musical co-host is Griffin William Sherry. Hello, Griffin.
It's good to see you, Jack.
It's great to see you. So this is an unusual episode because we've actually recorded the interview before the pre-interview.
Yeah.
Which is something I've never done before. And it's great because I feel so relaxed speaking to you now because I know you're a great interviewer. You give a great promo for the show. I can endorse it. It's already happened.
Yeah, it was exciting. It's just nice. Jenna is such a wonderful person to have a conversation with. And I don't often get a chance to talk to someone and ask them questions for an hour. So, as far as first interviews go, I enjoyed the hell out of it. So
yeah, because you've been interviewed so many times, but this was your first time on the receiving end.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. And usually it was always the same questions, where'd the band's name come from? Where are you and at the beginning, I always wanted to give different answers to it every time. And then I just forgot eventually. It turned out to be the right answer every time. So, but yeah, it was a great time. So,
all right.
And now we're doing this afterwards.
Yes. Cool. The afterword, pre-word, forward.
Yeah.
So before we tell everyone why Jenna's such a wonderful guest, maybe let's tell everyone why you're such a wonderful host. Could you give us a little, so that I don't ask you those questions?
No,
could you give yourself a little preface and introduce, as I'm sure you've done many times, to our listeners?
For sure. Yeah. My name is Griffin William Sherry. I am a writer and musician from the state of Maine here in the United States. In 2011, I started a band called Ghost of Paul Revere and spent about 11 years touring pretty aggressively with that band and releasing songs. And we got a lot of opportunities to play. We played on late night and we used to do about 200, 250 shows a year. And yeah,
that'll do it.
Oh, yeah. we hung up the cap in 2022. And since then I've been writing and making my own music under my own name, which is really exciting. And we're just about to drop a record here, hopefully, in the summer of 2024. And I've been really busy, but love playing music and yelling in front of crowds.
Yeah, because of course that's where I first heard of you, and I'm sure many people from the Ghost is really can I use the term cult band? I mean, is that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it's very much for a New England cult band for sure. It's not often that a band that most people can't recognize can sell 10,000 tickets in their own hometown. So we used to throw quite a party here in Portland, Maine. So I would say we're a little cult band that could,
So why did it stop after COVID? 2022 was after you got through COVID.
Got through COVID. I mean, we did that transition as well as we could. Started playing drive-in movie theaters and stuff not long after everything was shut down. We were actually we were going to do a 6-week tour of Europe that was supposed to start the day the border shut down. So we at the last minute canceled our flights and ended up being stuck at home. But I think that was kind of was such a big shift for us because we never allowed ourselves time to be at home and kind of have a home. And all of a sudden now you can't leave it. And we all had significant others and dogs and family. And it just got to a point where we just said, that band started with me and two of my best friends, Max and Sean. We've known each other since we were about 2 years old. We grew up in the same town and did everything together. Max and I even went and got our BFAs together. And we got to a point where we just decided that we wanted to stay really close friends and not let the music kind of get in the way of that, which it's tough to be a touring musician, especially at the level we were at. So we just decided it was better for all of us if we continue to love each other and put down the music for a little while and pursue other things.
Oh, well, people don't realize how hard it is to be doing. I mean, 200 plus dates a year it's
a lot.
It's a lot and sacrifice, away from your family. And as we learn in the interview, which is coming up, how you have these other interests and, in lockdown, you got into writing your own music. You've always been into telling stories, I know, and that you're doing through your music, but now you got to do things like fishing, I'm sure, and hunting. And you're a hunter, as well?
I've done some small game hunting, but mostly a fisherman. I grew up, you can tell I've got the tattoo.
Yeah.
I literally wear it on my sleeve. Yeah, I grew up as a fisherman. I was really close with one of my grandfathers, and he was an incredible fly fisherman. He used to instruct people here in Maine how to fly fish, and he got me hooked at an early age. So I did a lot of fishing during the lockdown, that's for sure, and disappeared to a lot of wild places because most people don't know this, but Maine is it's got the largest contiguous forest in the United States, and there's more than half the state. There's only about 9,000 residents, so. It's a wild place you can really get lost to. It's great. It's one of the only dark sky places in the continental United States too, which is cool.
Oh wow, yeah. So you have a big plot of land?
I do, yeah. During the pandemic, we ended up finding a house that we really loved and bought 17 acres out here. So I have fields and streams and a pond and a bunch of woods and this cool old house from the 70s that was definitely built by a weekend carpenter, but I kind of love how quirky it is. So.
No, I saw it in the video. It really had personality.
Yeah. So it's I loved it, and it gave me an opportunity to kind of find my roots and find a home and take a second to relax, which I hadn't done in years. And at the end of it, I came out, I think, more invigorated than ever. That what I love to do is to write music and get on stage and perform it for people. So I was on fire after the pandemic to just get on the road and just start playing for people again.
So you're going to take this on tour again, this new album?
Yes. Yeah. We've been kind of touring over the last year, and I have 5 other guys that are friends of mine that jumped on to be the backup band, and we're rocking and rolling right now, which is really awesome. So we've got dates all through the year booked already, which is really exciting, because there's always that fear when you start something new. Even when I decided to do music full time, it was like there's a pretty serious fear of that change and trying something new, because you don't know whether or not a net's going to appear when you jump. But more often than not, I found that just the willingness and the kind of getting over the fear of doing something will lead to something really cool. So it's been great that my team has stayed on with me, and I still am finding a lot of things to write about too, because that was another fear. So you change directions and you kind of it's basically reinventing yourself. I had to make another first album again.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because it's a comfort blanket having a band and everything's familiar. If you're bringing a turkey, they'll shoot it down, and I'm sure it's really an enviable position to be in a band. But then at the same time, like you say, it has frustrations as well. So it sounds like you've got the perfect balance now. You've been the front man, but you're touring with friends, and so it's an enviable position. Yeah, you got it sorted.
We're trying. I always I like to say that we. It's about surviving the dream. You're not really living the dream, but you're surviving it. That's for sure. And I've been doing that for years now and find it comfortable,
Okay. So now we know you. Let's get on to our guest, Jenna Rozelle. And how did you come across her, and why did you choose her to be your guest?
I met Jenna now probably almost 10 years ago for the first time, because I had some friends living in rural New Hampshire, and she was kind of acquaintances of them. So we got into a similar social circle, and then I started kind of learned she was a writer and started reading her writings, and would reach out about, woods questions and homesteading questions and that kind of stuff I was interested in. And she was always really quick to respond. So we always had this kind of rapport back and forth. And then I just kept reading her writings and really kind of fell in love with the way she views the world and what she chooses to write about. So she's kind of a tour de force when it comes to just like, there's no facade on Jenna. She just is. She is what she loves, and she very much is honest about it, which is really cool. Reminds me a lot of where I'm from and kind of where I still live. The people here I would describe them as very elemental, and I think that Jenna is very elemental. It's some rough edges, but it's very direct, and it's very poignant, and can be beautiful, and also can be strong, and all these words you could use to describe Jenna for sure, because she is a master of the outside and really good with words. So and poetry is one of those things I've always been a big admirer of, but I have never dove into myself really outside of songwriting, and anyone who can kind of capture that sense of telling a story, specifically using kind of like paced words instead of doing it long form, I've always been really envious of and really admired. So
because she is also a writer for the MeatEater podcast and crew, and so she's maybe more. Is she more well known for that, or more well known for the poetry?
I think she's more well known for MeatEater now. I think that was a great opportunity for her to kick on there, and it was one of those things where I found out like well after that she'd even done that, and a bunch of my friends were like, "Oh, you're talking to Jenna. Like, I love that. I love the MeatEater episode she did, and I love the things she's been writing." And it's like, "Oh, I didn't even know she was in that crew," which is always fun to learn about. But it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So, do you have one of her poems?
I do.
Just so we get a better idea of the. Because you as an artist, you're very discerning. So it's very deep praise for you because you're a great lyricist to pick someone as an inspiration. So let's hear some of it.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, this is I asked Jenna if I could use some of her poetry as direct reference to what we're going to work on, and the one that caught my eye first that I think this song is going to be pretty heavily based on is a poem called Chapel, and it goes like this. This is the way to the chapel of stumps. We sit in a circle, children as wide as the sun. The camp director shows us how to handle it. The light, how to hold it in different places inside our bodies. Hand it to someone else. A counselor finger picks an easy song. A bundle of pine needles in his mouth. I pick them up from the ground where he drops them. I taste them in the dark in my bunk. The loon prays all night on the pond, and the light is in my throat. And that's Chapel by Jenna Rozelle.
Ah, that's beautiful. Yeah, so descriptive. Yeah.
It is. It encapsulates this perfect little moment. That's like it's some of my favorite things about writing in general. It's like when someone has the ability to distill all those feelings into essentially kind of a description of events, but it's still so heavy. The imagery.
It's very naked because the songwriters you got the tune to, and then the instruments on top of that, so you can you can bury it. But yeah, it's very naked art form, isn't it? Yeah, really. Mm-hmm. Were you going to try it as well? Are you working on poetry?
I'm actually might start trying to write some. I've always tried to be. We kind of in the interview we talk a little bit about routine, and I think I'm very bad at it. But I do try to get up every day and write something. And usually it's just kind of a short paragraph. But I'm going to start. I think trying to write poetry and see how it goes. And I'll send it to Jenna, and she can tell me how bad I am at it.
Yeah. She has.
But then I'll put a melody behind it, and then no one will know. That's
because she has this Substack, and and people has the deadline of every week she has to do a poem. But I was thinking how fortunate we are as songwriters, because if you're maybe a poet, I don't know, but definitely a comedian. If you go to the gig next year, people want to hear different jokes. If you go back with the same thing, but when you're in the Ghost, people want to hear.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's almost the opposite.
It's almost the opposite. So it's almost stagnatory, and so at the same time, it's so maybe if you go into this other art form of poetry, could inspire you even further. Yeah,
it's a very. I mean, as a musician, I'm sure you can relate to when you pick up an instrument you've never touched before, or never played before.
Yeah.
That first kind of week that you have it is magical, because you're trying to understand how this machine works, but in doing so, you make a lot of judgment calls and choices that you would never really make if you knew the instrument top to bottom. So it's when you get comfortable on a guitar or piano or whatever you're playing, like that's when it can be almost more difficult to find inspiration. But when when it's something totally new that you're not comfortable with, that's sometimes when the best inspiration happens. So hopefully, tried poetry will lead to some cool stuff.
And do you play any of the Ghost songs in your new lineup?
I do. Yeah, we play a bunch of them. And I'm fortunate enough to, in the last couple of years have written, a full set of totally new songs too, which is great. But there's a bunch of songs that I just love. So I love those songs so much that I'm happy to keep them going and play them. And, they all mean a lot to me, because I wrote the ones that I wrote, they still resonate to this day, even without the four of us together playing music. But luckily Chuck, who is the drummer for Ghost, is also the drummer for my band. So there's two of the four of us still.
But do you find they're reinvented with a new band? Do they become, because I know very much Dylan is famous as a famous example of almost unrecognizable version of his own songs. So
but it doesn't get pushed that far for sure. Just because I've been playing, I would be terrible at it, because I've been playing them the same way for so long that
But
you
play the drums. Get the drummer to sing them.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, and see if you can figure out how to play. I mean, it's an open tune. Most of them are open tunes, so like you can beat away on a guitar and figure it out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that kind of it's. I mean, any song, it changes no matter who's. It depends on who's in the room, and it can change pretty drastically. And I think that these have a new edge to them that they didn't have before, for sure.
Yeah.
Songs like Wild Child and Little Bird and some stuff off the last Ghost record, I still get to play live, which is great. And then I get to play all these new songs that are, about the kind of time afterwards. This new record is certainly was written fairly quickly right after we decided to call it quits. So there's a lot of feelings in that.
Yeah. Wow. You mean you're really selling yourself here very well, I have to say. You're
Thanks.
Touring, living the dream. You live in the countryside. You get to play music. You travel around. You play with your friends, and this is,
I am. I'm excited.
And you're engaged.
Grateful.
You're getting married.
I'm engaged. Getting married. Eventually here. We haven't planned it, but we're gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
But yeah. We survived the pandemic together, and then kind of did everything backwards. We got a dog and bought a house before we got hitched. So we're working on that last part. We'll get there. But
I've been engaged for 3 years, so
have you?
Yeah. Well, COVID, it got cancelled because of COVID. Yeah.
Bummer.
And they've never managed to get. We just had a child, so
congratulations.
That weighs almost 2 now, and that puts a kibosh on everything. So you've only got so much bandwidth, and then
fair.
Podongs is 3 years old, so that's a toddler.
I know,
rambunctious little toddler too.
I spent is he? That's awesome. It's speaking Italian.
Yeah, mixed half and half. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I spent yesterday driving around. I'm looking for a new tour van, so I spent 8 a.m. to midnight driving around New England looking at vans. And a good section of it, I listened to the Podongs Spotify list, and was immediately daunted by how good those songs are. It's awesome. So it's going to be fun to try to step up to the caliber which you've already had over the last 3 years. So it's really exciting for me. So.
Well, that's a real honor for us. I mean, we have this band in Italy, Maurizio, Massimino, and Luigi, and they love to play with all these musicians from all around the world. I know you have a great band, but if you'd like the guys to do the heavy lifting on the production, we'd really love to collaborate with you.
Oh, I love collaboration, so it'd be great. And honestly, I'll fit it, although I do not look it, because recessive genes work a specific way. My mother's maiden name is Sibilia, so I'm actually I'm mostly Italian and Portuguese, though I just came out looking like an Irishman, so that's kind of how it goes. But
you put
I'll use the maiden name, and I can fit right into the band.
Okay, great. Yeah, so if you want to just send us something to a click track, with some reference tracks, then we can turn into anything you want. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. I've been kind of trying to figure out the vibe of it for the last couple of days, but the lyrics came so quick. It was honestly probably 15 or 20 minutes after Jenna had left the house. I sat down at the piano, and I kind of figured out where I wanted to live in the key, and had the chorus immediately, and then the verses came pretty quickly after that. So
brilliant. Yeah, I should get all the guests to come around the musician's house and jack them up on coffee, and I get the song. I've been waiting on the song for 2 years for some people, because
really?
If you don't do the song, 15 minutes after we hang up the call, and it's like pulling teeth. No, you're inspired by other things. So you've really got, you're really a pro already. So who do you want to interview next?
Oh, great. Anybody. I feel like you should pick this time, because my first list of people that we were going to interview were almost all musicians. So that's pretty much who I know.
Yeah.
I can try to pull some strings and get the governor here in Maine to be on a podcast. We'll see.
Okay. Well, it has to be somebody that really inspires you, because you have to know all about them. And, so.
Yeah. And thank you for your kind words about the interview. I mean, I was going to say it was easy because I, like Jenna's work so much that I really wanted to talk to her about it. And I can't imagine how difficult it must be to do that when you aren't inspired by someone's work. So it was an easy pass, I feel like, on the first.
We'll get you someone difficult next time.
There we go. Exactly. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, but it's also because I'd written like 400 songs before I started Podongs, and then I did 100 songs in the first year, and it was so great. It flowed so easy because, you had a real something to write about. It was really, just a proper brief, proper, just to write about something other than myself or my love life or whatever whatever I usually write about, So this was a great exercise, and you also feel like you're giving something, or you're giving them a song. Whereas if you give a musician a song, it's not really, they've had so many before, and they're not going to share, they're not going to shout it from the rooftops. But for someone once in their life to have a song written about them, it's really, I'm sure Jenna's over the moon and very flattered.
Yeah, she I was like, I think I wrote all the words to the song. Not long after that, I think she was already on to a smelting fishing trip already. And how'd you do it so fast? I was like, that's, sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes you do have to sit on a song for 2 or 3 years because it just stops making sense until it does. But you're right about the using efficiency and being ready to kind of write that song as soon as you're done. The conversation is a huge help because it's kind of unbridled and ready to go.
You've got adrenaline as well. I literally sweat during a lot of the interviews. So nobody wants to know that, but I'm excited. So to get that again is hard.
Right.
All right. Well, this has been great. I mean, unless there's anything you want to add before we go into the interview.
I don't think so. I'm excited to kind of hear it again for the first time. So,
all right. Well, and then I can't wait to hear the song, and we'll collaborate on that. Normally I do this bit at the end, but
Thanks for coming to my house, Jenna Rozelle.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's wonderful to have you here. We've kind of been known each other tangentially, I feel like, for many years now, just through friends from New Hampshire. But I've always been a big fan of your writings and also your photography, which is kind of wild. But yeah, I think they all are. They're beautiful. It's statements of like moments in time. I love as far as photography goes. So I feel like those are all they go well with your writing. So
thank you.
But I mean, I kind of want to start, and so people know who you are. I wanted to know, who is Jenna Rozelle? Where'd you get started? What, where does the love for the outdoors come from, first and foremost?
I think just being an outdoor kid. I born and raised in Maine. I was actually born on a homestead that my parents built in southern Maine, and then moved to a farm shortly after that. So in my young childhood, just spent roaming around.
Yeah,
it was in that. I think like you and I are about the same age, right?
Yep.
I turned 39 today.
Oh, is it your birthday today?
It's my birthday.
Happy birthday!
Thank you.
Came and did this on your birthday. That's wild. Thank you.
I'm gonna go fishing on my way home.
Oh,
That's
good.
my present to myself.
I've got some, so I can point you towards some good spots. Yeah.
So yeah, just grew up roaming around the farm. Oh, I was gonna say we're about the same age, so we kind of grew up in the glory days, like when you could still do that. There wasn't like helicopter parenting or that huge amount of fear about kids being outside. And my parents especially were just great about letting me roam around. So, you form bonds that way. I guess I just sort of imprinted on it and was like, well, this is the world I live in. So this is the world that I continue to live in.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. I had parents that, especially a mom and a grandfather, who kind of were just like, get outside.
Yeah.
We're going to teach you things about it, and then the rest is up to you. And it's like, it's crazy how much it teaches you problem solving, or just like an appreciation for certain things, especially slower things.
Yes.
Because we're also that
things.
We're just almost 40-year-old generation, where I think that just after us is now a generation of people who are used to the world moving at a very quick pace. And that was our adolescence, was kind of getting brought into that. But before that, at least we had some time to take a pause and take a second.
I feel so lucky to have grown up like before the internet. I just would not have done well. I just know I wouldn't have done well. I don't work at this speed. Like, it's kind of a running joke, like in my family and friends group, about like my shocking level of slowness. I do everything in first gear, like, which, lends itself really well to a lot of the things that I do, like foraging and hunting and writing, I suppose. I wouldn't hate it if I was a faster writer.
I was going to ask too, is like the poetry is a full, or like, and we'll get to this a little later, but like, you're an incredible poet, and do you think that the form of poetry is also kind of informed by that? Is that why you kind of gravitated towards writing in shorter form instead of longer form?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
No clue why I chose poems. I mean, I guess shorter form writing tends to be what I like to read as well, like short fiction. I like essays. I actually can't even remember the last novel I read. And I love to read poems. So I think that's probably just where it came from, is like, that's what I like to consume. And so
yeah,
that's kind of just what comes out
nice.
at the other end of that process. But well, no, I don't know, actually, because now that I'm thinking, I actually was just going through some stuff the other day and found not a copy, the original of the first poem that I ever wrote, or the first poem that we have record of me writing, and it was in second grade.
Yeah.
I don't think I was reading a whole lot of poetry then, so I don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
But it certainly has a hold on me.
Children's books, though, I mean, that's like, it gets you kind of into that mindset as a young kid.
Yeah, I was very into like the fairy tale books, or the old Greek mythology, things like that. So yeah, that would make sense.
Now, this might be a difficult question, but as a musician, I have a couple records that I can look to that I was listening to as a little kid that I'm like, oh shoot, now that a lot of time's passed and I do this as a living, that like those records had kind of a profound effect on me as a writer and as a creative person. Like, do you find that you have authors or short stories, or even music that like kind of it helps define your cadence or your voice?
From childhood, I don't know. But in like young adulthood, I think the writer who's been the most influential for me is probably Jim Harrison.
Cool. Yeah.
His poems, his essays, his novellas. I mean, his novels too, but I don't have a novel in me.
Yeah.
I just don't. Yeah. So as far as like writing influences, he's the easiest one to point to, because it was like, lightning striking. It's just so memorable when I began reading him, that it was like, this is for me,
Yep.
And I get glimmers of that feeling with other writers. Like recently, I just have been spending a lot of time with the poet Diane Seuss, who's a Michigan poet, and I found this. She just did this. She calls it a memoir, but it's her life story, but in unrhymed sonnets, which might sound incredibly boring if you're not into that kind of thing. But she's definitely the kind of poet who I would point to if somebody were to say like, oh, I don't like poetry, or I don't understand poetry, or I would probably give them a Diane Seuss sonnet and they'd be like, oh, cool, I get it. That's a story. That's a really neat little story in 14 lines,
Yeah. It's one of the things I love about songwriting is kind of coming to the realization a couple of years ago that like, truly my job is like, is in the economy of words, like not necessarily like knowing how to say the right thing, although that's very important, but like how to say the thing in the most efficient way possible. And it's one of the things I love about poetry is that like, and specifically some of your poems, that like, there's kind of almost a brutalist aspect to it, like in the way that Cormac McCarthy will describe something, in that you can say a statement, and I understand exactly where it is, what the feeling is, and everything. And it might not be there might not be any of those details in the sentence itself, but like you kind of give a window into that.
Cool.
And it's like, do you find that you get the most joy out of that short form of writing?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that's fun, right? That's
It's-
my idea of a good time.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. That creative high. It's like, oh, cool. God, I did it. You know, and
Nailed
then of
that
course you're
one.
going to edit it probably 15 times. Like, you know, I'm a constant editor.
Mm.
And then I usually end up going back with what you did the first time.
Yeah, like
But-
the second draft is
Yeah.
usually the
Yeah.
best one
Mhm.
for me. But yeah, revision is fun because I do like aiming at that.
Yeah.
Like the very, how can I say this in the fewest words possible? And I don't know, I've toyed around with going in the other direction and like making myself just let it run, you know what I mean? And not
Mhm.
try to halt it. Cause a lot of times I'm like sort of revising in real time as I'm writing.
Yeah.
But I think that can kind of like, you lose stuff, you know,
Yeah.
you lose some of the good stuff. And
Yeah.
so I try to like first draft, just spit it out.
Yeah.
And then second draft usually ends up being the sweet spot of like, you still have that, whatever magic is happening, like when the first draft is emerging. But you just, you clean it up a little bit.
Were either of your parents writers?
No.
No, but both outdoor enthusiasts. So you kind of grew up on a homestead, so there's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, not like outdoor enthusiasts in like,
Yeah.
well, we lived on a farm
Mhm.
and a homestead. So obviously, yes, they were enthusiastic about certain aspects of the outdoors. But they're not like outdoor recreators.
Yeah, it's a livelihood, not a recreation. Yeah.
And I mean, they were both, maybe if they didn't have 3 kids, they would have, but they were just busy working. So, no, there wasn't any, I mean, my mom would take us hiking and things like that, but there
Cool.
wasn't any hunting or fishing or
Yeah.
outdoorsy stuff.
So when did you start doing? Who was the one who kind of let you into that world?
It was when I was living, my first homestead, which was up in Roque Bluffs, Maine. Do you know where that is?
Yeah, I do.
So built a place up there with the guy I was with then, and he was a very avid fisherman. So that was kind of my entry point into hunting and fishing. And then that sort of evolved into small game, started with like squirrel and hare and grouse,
Mhm.
ducks. And then it still took me a number of years to feel comfortable hunting deer.
Yeah.
So that was in my mid-20s.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't been doing it that long,
Yeah.
Still feel like a new kid. It still feels like, I don't know what I'm doing, but it feels right every time. So
Get a sense that I think that's with anything we do in life, but especially like learned skills that like, I think if you think you have mastered it, you're doing it wrong, probably.
yeah.
If you don't feel like you have something new to learn or are a bit amateurish at it in some capacity, but yeah, I grew up with a grandfather who was a very avid fly fisherman and would, instructor and that kind of stuff, and was out kind of constantly doing that, but didn't have access to the hunting side of stuff. So I don't have much experience in that side. I'm just starting to dip my toe into the world, and I let my neighbor hunt our property, and I'm just kind of starting to get acquainted with that, which is
I mean,
exciting.
looking out at your field,
well,
you're set up for it.
He got a 9-point last fall. That was like 230 pounds, I think 225. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
That's a big
I've got some of
deer.
it in the freezer downstairs.
That's
It's huge.
awesome.
But there's tons of deer around here and stuff. But it's something just because like I've always been a big proponent of if you're going to take from the land, if you're going to use, if you're going to eat meat, if you're going to do that kind of stuff, you should know how it's processed, how you get it, how you get the meat, and how you process it, and be okay with that whole process. So it's like that's the reason why I really want to learn, And is that like when you started hunting and you wanted to go to bigger and bigger animals? Was like that same kind of idea that like I just want to know how this is done so I can do it skillfully and get that experience under my belt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's tricky because well, because you're dealing with life and death and you really can't practice for it.
Yeah.
So it can be really nerve-wracking, that learning curve. And and like you said, I expect to kind of feel that way forever. I don't think that's
Yeah.
I don't expect to ever feel like I've mastered it.
Mhm.
So you kind of always go in a little unsure, but I think that's good. That's probably good, right?
Yeah, I think it's really good. I think that we were just talking about this before we started recording. It's like that, like low level of fear, I think can really be a powerful motivator in a good way. And it can also be a negative thing, but like in a good way. But, do you find that like when you approach creative projects, maybe because you so frequently write and so frequently release poetry and short form writing, do you find that you get that kind of creative thrill edge as you're working on it or about to release it, or you're like stepping away from it, that you would get when you're out in the world, maybe on a hunt, about to take the leap from sitting watching to interacting with your world?
Yeah, there's definitely overlap in feeling there. There's also overlap in like just the method, honestly. I find to write, for me, it starts with needing to be really quiet externally and internally. And then you're just sort of waiting for something to show up, right? You're just sort of like
observing,
making yourself available or receptive. You're just like all senses kind of. It's almost like, I was going to say soft focus, but it's like hyper focused at the same time. It's almost like you're like, I guess hunting and writing function in a kind of a similar way for me, in that by focusing on very small things, you're kind of accessing something really big, like your eyes are maybe looking at the page, focusing on like, this word or that word, or where do I break this line? But by way of like giving something all of your attention, it almost like opens up this inner third eye that like puts you in a whole different state. Which that state for me feels very similar in writing and in hunting.
Yeah.
And I think honestly, like that's it. Like that's the reason why I do both of those things probably, is because that state feels good.
Yeah.
It's kind of like there's this I don't know, this associative magic of the subconscious or something becomes available. When it's not available in any other state. And I don't enter it every time that I write, but it's where I hope to get every time I sit down to write. You know what I mean? And when I'm in it, I know something is working. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And a great way to word it as well. And I think it makes me. I had a question I wanted to get to, which was, I think that it feels like you reference dreams really often in a lot of your writing, and when I think about myself as a creative person, kind of where I've come, it started from a place of like I had to very much. I was always waiting for kind of the muse to slap me across the face, for it to like to be a rush of a thing, and like, oh, I got to finish the song, I'm gonna write it in 5 minutes. Okay, it's done, feels good, great. And like as I've done more work creatively, like I try to make it more of a practice of trying to get into that headspace and trying to create more on a routine. But I still feel like, for me personally, dreams. I'm not an avid dreamer. I don't remember my dreams very frequently, like a couple times a year. So when I do remember them, they hold a lot of weight. So long way around this question, but like, do you find a lot of value and find a lot of inspiration in your dreams, and how does that affect your work?
I mean, if I do have dreams that I remember, I definitely try to write them down immediately, and not necessarily to like analyze them. I'm not like gonna Google it and but I mean, why wouldn't I? It's such a rich source of material. It's like accessing that state.
Yeah.
That's the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's drawing from a well that I don't always have access to, but I'm always hoping to have access to. So like if I can remember a dream, it's almost like a freebie. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's wild how unexpected they are usually too.
Oh, it's the best.
It's kind of like going out and exploring the world a little bit. And you taking a walk in the woods and finding something that,
never boring.
Whether
always
it's foraging something, there's always something. There's always something to pay attention to.
Yeah.
I once had done this interview and it was for kind of naturalism and music together, not dissimilar to our conversation today, but they had asked me what song reminded me the most of being outdoors. And I found myself at a point where I was like, there is no song that reminds me of being outdoors. Like it's the sound of the outdoors that is that song to me. It's the, around here, it's, the call of the red-winged blackbird and the chickadees and the cardinals and the whippoorwills in the evening and stuff and like that, and how the wind goes through the trees and the sound of the brook out back. And it's like, that's the music of the outside world. But, is there, it could be just because I'm a musician, but I find sound to be really impactful. Is there a state, that's a poor way to word it. Is there a specific sound in the natural world that you adore? And that brings you to a specific place, or that like whenever it happens, that like you're supposed to be at that moment, or you just feel elated?
Oh, yes.
Are there millions of those sounds? Probably,
so
right?
Many.
Yeah.
I just wrote a poem yesterday about cardinals.
Yeah.
That sound is like so familiar, but at the same time, like you pay attention to it and you're like, holy shit, what a sound.
Yeah.
Thrushes right now just came back, started singing at dawn and dusk. Like I've been waking up in the dark just before dawn and hearing them sing, and the same time, the same thing at night. And like that sound is crazy. How did the sound of the ocean has always been where I live now is the first time I've ever not lived like directly on the ocean. So the sound of the ocean is a very powerful thing for me.
It's almost dominating to its landscape. It's like a waterfall. It's just like,
I love it.
Yeah.
That's like my happy place.
Yeah.
Oh, woodcock. Do you have woodcock here right now?
I do. Yeah. And they are going.
The sound of their wings when they're towering is just like some sort of alien experience.
Well, just the sound they make in general is just so wild.
They're so weird.
They're so weird. It's, and then you see them and you're like, oh, you look like a really weird giant
even more
plover.
Weird.
Yeah. Cool. Great. Yeah. And I also like the coyotes at night.
Oh my God.
We have a lot of coyotes around here.
Yeah.
Live in a rural, we both live in Maine, so a lot of it's very, very rural, but this is rural enough that they have coyote derbies, which blows my mind.
Oh, I don't really like that.
No, it's like that. So this brings up another question. It's like where do you think your respect for the natural world comes in? Because I have known a lot of people in my life growing up in a rural place that interact with the natural world on an everyday basis and hunt and use the land, but don't seem to have any respect for it. So when I meet a person who does seem to have a profound respect for that land, I'm always very appreciative, but I always wonder like where it came from, like the, relative or just
I don't know, man.
Being a good person.
Seems like how can you not?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even though technically I might be the top of the food chain here, if you believe in that. analogy. I don't feel like it, and I don't feel superior in any way. I mean, if you look at everything out there living their lives and see how well they're doing it, it's awe-inspiring all the time. You know what I mean? Every species that we have is just so good at living their lives. And like, it's hard not to just sort of be, I don't know, I'm trying to think of another word aside from humbled, because I fucking hate that word now. But but when you look at animals surviving like the Maine winter or whatever, it's just like, I'm a soft little thing. Like, I need a wood stove.
Yeah. I was just having this conversation with my fiance that we were talking about snapping turtles crossing the road. So we were talking about how snapping turtles survived the winter and found the crazy fact that turtles in this region of the world and any cold climate, they use the same amount of oxygen in 4 months that a person needs in 4 minutes once the temperature drops. Yeah. And then they can pull oxygen in from the water around them to breathe when the pond freezes over, which is wild. But we got to that same exact conclusion. It's like, oh yeah, people are pretty bad at like this whole living thing without changing our environment
without like suit our brains and thumbs, essentially.
Which is crazy.
You cut off the thumbs and we're
Oh man. Well, there was a poem I read. Where are we? Yeah, I mean, there was a poem that I just had read that was, it was Cathedral of the Woods, I think.
Who wrote that?
You did.
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
Was it good?
And you check, who was it? Jeffrey Foucault that you had tagged in it, but it was essentially about going to camp as a kid.
Oh,
yeah. Cathedral of Pines, Cathedral of the Woods. I'm trying to.
Sounds right.
Something like that. And another question I wanted to ask was, I think about as I'm writing and stuff, as I'm writing songs, I think about imagery so intensely. It kind of gets back to that like brutalist writing mentality of like, how do you distill a feeling and a sense of place into as few words? So when you're writing, we start out. I mean, I guess you can ask this question a couple ways, but first I'd like to ask just like where do you find the most resources to get the imagery for your writing? Is it just lived experiences? Is it imagination?
It's generally not imagination. Well, I guess it doesn't begin in imagination.
Yeah.
It usually begins with like a very physical prompt.
Cool.
It's generally like the things I'm seeing in the outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's not all of my poems are about the outdoors, but the large majority of them. So yeah, it's usually, kicked off by, well, it can either be an image, something I've seen, or a lot of times actually, it'll be a sound.
Yeah.
It'll be not an external sound, but like almost like a little section of some kind of rhythm or melody will come into my head, and there won't be words attached to it yet, but I'll just have sort of this cadence that is like calling to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll find words for that, and maybe that will be the first line. And then, once I have a first line, I'm generally like drawn in, and I kind of run with it, just purely by that like associational magic of the subconscious I was talking about. It'll latch on to that and pull me through it as soon as I've got that first line down. But often it does. Yeah, it's usually either an image, something that I've seen, or a weird little sound that appears to me.
Yeah.
Is that how you start your songs too?
It starts a lot of different ways. And I think that a lot of times it's a melody or a turn of phrase that'll just be the whole thing. It's like, I have the feeling where I want to pursue this. Like that's the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes, I try to, occasionally I'll do like writing prompts or parameters just to kind of continually work that wheel and
Yeah.
work it. So, do you find that you do you put limitations on you, like as far as like cadence and structure goes for your poems? Do you work in limitation, or is it solely defined by what you want to say?
I have zero formal training or education or anything. Like, I don't know anything about writing.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to change that. Like, I'm kind of like putting myself through some sort of creative writing program.
Yeah, cool.
Ongoing, whether it be by reading, like I'm reading Ted Kuzer's poetry book right now, which is really helpful. I just finished taking a poetry workshop with Ellen Bass, which was incredible.
Yeah.
But I don't really know much about form. And for a while, I didn't really care about it. I felt like I was able to say the things that I was trying to say. But now I'm more interested in form now. Like I said, I found that Diane Seuss book of sonnets, and I was like, that's the first form that's really like appealed to me.
Yeah, I spoke to you.
Probably because it looks easy, because it's just like a block. It's just like it's 14 lines. So that seemed like approachable, whereas like I know nothing about rhyme and meter or like all of the other more elaborate poetic forms. And I don't care a whole lot about them right now. I might someday as I continue learning. But right now, I tried haikus for a little while in the past year, and those are kind of fun and approachable to play around with. And it is interesting how I used to kind of I don't know, I used to turn away from form, or I guess like boundaries or rules in general. I tend to be skeptical of. I'm a big fan of like boundary dissolution. But I did find in practicing within the bounds of a form, a haiku or a sonnet, that it actually acted more like an open door than a closed one. You know what I mean? Like it gave me access to a different part of my brain. So that was fun and interesting. I generally don't think about form first. Like, it's not like I sit down with the intention to write a sonnet or a haiku. I'm only thinking about like the image that I have and how to share it.
I have a very similar approach to specifically like instrumentation and guitar for me. Was that's how it was. It's like I learned enough guitar to be able to start writing songs, and that's all I was interested in. Like, as the years have gone on, I've been more interested in how to do specific things and specific techniques and how that kind of can inform it, because it's really about building up your language. And like, when you have more tools in that toolbox, you can do different things with them. They're more exciting. But
so I am trying to add some more tools, especially now that I've had my Substack newsletter Appetites for 2 years now. And that's a weekly deadline, which is brutal. And so I think that part of my, I'm wanting to sort of bolster my toolbox because I don't want to disappoint my readers. I don't want to bore my readers. I don't want to run out of, I need to do new things.
Well, deadlines can be great. I fought against that for a long time, but I am a person who needs a deadline.
I need a deadline.
Otherwise I'll just be, on to
Fishing.
something. Fishing. Picking stuff and putting it back down. It's pretty much, that's most of life when you don't have a goal or a job.
I need to be held accountable.
It's just picking stuff up, put it back down. At Appetites, it has been an incredible thing to dive into and read. And I was wondering, like, so when you publish on Appetites, this is kind of a technical question about this platform, but with a thing like Appetites, and I saw that Dave is also on it, which I think it's
Simonette.
Simonette. So excited to dive into his readings and before I see him next time. And but like for that form, like can you only publish it on that platform, or can it also be a tool to publish things other places? Like, is there that freedom there, or are you keeping all of your stuff on that platform, just to that platform?
Well, I just began working with an agent.
Cool.
Because I think maybe I'm gonna write a book someday.
Yes. Yeah.
So we have been talking about that, and I believe, especially because, I mean, with the deadline being weekly,
yep,
that kind of by default makes it so almost everything I'm publishing is essentially a rough draft.
Yeah.
Because I've only had the week to work on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I am not a structured enough person to like build a body of work. I don't have anything in the can waiting. You know what I mean? It's like I get one done and I start another. So I then am able to publish those things in other places because I'll keep working on them afterwards.
Yeah.
And they'll, sometimes they won't change a lot, but they'll change enough where, that first draft being published on Substack is not a problem for future publishing endeavors. Cool. So awesome. That's nice.
Yeah.
Very
well, I mean,
nice.
the like collections of poetry is kind of the only way that, besides like, Maine Public Radio doing poetry in the morning, like that was the only access I had to poetry, or really I have ever had. It's like the collected, however large, the book is. Like sometimes they are very large, but my start into poetry was Bukowski for sure. I was still a very big fan, and then I got my hands on Ballad of Reading Jail, and like then kind of like that took me into the novel section of stuff. But I was wondering. So that's where was kind of where I was leading. That was like, do you have aspirations to do collections and more long form, and kind of what are your ideas about what themes you haven't maybe yet explored, but you want to still explore? It's
a good question.
Kind of impossible to answer. I'm sorry. It's a little.
Well, some people may have an answer for you.
I wouldn't.
I don't.
I wouldn't if this was
thinking about a book.
Yeah, cool.
Whereas historically, like, and a lot of writers, I hear about their sort of process, and many of them they know what book they're writing. Like they know, they have an image of the book, and it has a theme or a purpose or a something. But the way that I write, it just doesn't happen that way. I don't really think beyond the poem.
Yep.
Like I don't often think beyond the line while I'm in it. You know what I mean? I don't know where it's going. So I don't, I'm just learning how to think about a book-sized thing rather than a poem-sized thing. And it's exciting. And I don't know what the book is going to be yet.
It's okay. I mean, I think even if it's anything like any other art form, I would imagine you don't know what the book is even after you're done with it, right? That's
probably not.
Like it takes years to understand, even if it's songs are same way, where you don't have a lot of space to write, but you come back to it years later, and all of a sudden it has an entirely different meaning.
Yeah.
I got my BFA in oil painting and in like video installation art and sound art. It's like what I did in college. And
you want to know what I did in college?
What?
Well, I didn't. I dropped out of high school, but I went to a trade school for audio engineering and music production.
Did you really? No, see, I should have had you set this up today.
We would have been sunk.
But one of the things I learned when I was painting and showing it to groups of people and stuff was that like as soon as you release a work out into the world, it no longer belongs to you. Like the identity that you had given it and like its sole purpose for existing, the reason why you created it, it goes right out the window as soon as someone else sees it for the first time, because all of their kind of life and even the daily emotion that they're viewing this work for the first time. It's all that comes together, and they have an entirely different view on what this painting is, and I feel like it works the same way with music. Oh, hi Willow. And I feel like it works the same with music. And do you find that with your writing, the same thing? Do like people read your writing and be like, oh, this spoke to me because this event happened in my life, which is like, might be 180 degrees away from
Yes.
what you read it. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That happened so much.
Was it hard to come to terms with?
No, I love it.
Awesome.
I think it's amazing.
I was like a really young creator, it's like a 19-year-old. I had a hard time with it because I wanted them to see something very specific, and then I realized that there's much more beauty in the fact that they can see themselves in something I've made.
Yeah.
Than them seeing exactly what I made. But
yeah, the poet Carolyn Forche, I was just listening to a talk with her like yesterday or the day before, and she was saying something about how like one of the greatest things about art making is that it has so many resonant meanings that it's kind of bottomless. It's infinite. It all, it has as many meanings as many people behold the art, but yeah, I can see how that would be difficult if you're aiming at something specific, if you're trying to accomplish something specific.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm ever trying to accomplish anything, really. So that's helpful.
Yeah, it was like, I think, as a young man, I wanted people to see exactly how I viewed the world. And then I realized that, A, that's never going to be possible. Yeah. And B, there's so much more freedom in creatively knowing that like what you're making resonates with people than
in any way. I just feel I'm just still shocked that anybody reads it. You know what I mean?
I feel the same way.
But another thing that's interesting about people seeing your work, when you were saying that, it made me think of how I now use that almost as a revision tool. Like when I'm writing, I'll have a draft, and the first draft, honestly, for some reason, I just like can't, I made it, but I can't see it. Yeah. I can't see it clearly. I don't know if that happens with you. If you like, you'll write a song and you're like, well, it felt good coming out, but I have no idea how it actually sounds.
Yeah. How did I lose the plot already? Yeah.
So kind of part of my revision process is now I will text a rough draft to my friend. And as soon as I send it, as soon as I know that somebody else is looking at it, then all of the parts that I don't like about it start like burning me with shame. And they become very clear. Like you got to change that, and that, you know what I mean? Whereas before somebody else looked at it, I couldn't see those things.
Yep.
But then as soon as I know somebody else is looking at it, I see all the things that I don't like. And that
the critical eye really turns on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's become actually a helpful revision tool. Hey, I don't know how you would do that with music.
I mean, I do it all the time. My dog has her Bigfoot toy. She loves it so much. Hey, no, you got to lie down. I do it a lot with music. I mean, but it comes to a point where it has to be done. And I don't think I've necessarily ever really enjoyed anything like really listened to and really enjoyed anything I've ever recorded, like because I know that I've brought it to a new place that I really enjoy afterwards, which is a tough thing to think of. So it's like, but it's also nice because I never really listened to my own music. I'm always listening to something else, which is nice. So but yeah. Oh, Willow, that's so loud. Hey, Willow. Hey, leave it be. Yeah, you're okay. Appetites, right? A big part of the work that's on there is I feel like is a journey from start to finish. Where it's like, exploration out into the world, getting resources, and then making something out of those resources. So like, I come from a Italian family, so like the kitchen was always kind of a hallowed place. So I wondering like how what that relationship to food and to you self-harvesting the ingredients, like what kind of relationship does that play to your writing and also just kind of every day? Because I see the care you take in, your short stories and also the photography. I see the care you take in each meal. So I just wonder, like, when you harvest all the ingredients yourself, which is not something 90% of the people in the world do, that number is probably too high, but like a lot of people in the world don't do. Does that relationship to food like grow? Does it make it more important? Does it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And does that fuel creativity? Is that one of the places you can go to kind of access that other place we were talking about earlier?
Well, it is. I approach cooking as a creative act. Absolutely. I don't know if I don't think I like tap into that altered state as much when I'm cooking, though. I mean, you do kind of, there is sort of an orchestrated like feeling about it. It is definitely a creative act. I don't know really what its relationship to my writing is, other than I cook a lot. So I write about it because I only know I only know how to write about, my life.
Yeah.
I'm decidedly not a fiction writer. I literally only know how to write about what I know. So, but as far as the effect that, like, knowing where my food comes from, I guess essentially is what you're asking about, how that affects my cooking. I mean, there's really no way to say it without sounding like super precious.
No, I get where you're coming from, but also I think that's okay sometimes, because
to be precious, I try really hard to avoid it.
Oh yeah, but like, but that's, if you're actively trying to avoid it, then I feel like the things you are precious about actually are actually meaningful, because you're not doing it flippantly, which is like, also kills me.
I mean, I never, ever, ever thought that I would be a person who would like take pictures of their food, like almost as a job, you know what I mean? Or for fun even.
Yeah.
But that is absolutely what I've turned into. And I think that is a pretty clear byproduct of hunting, fishing, foraging, because, well, I guess it's just another, it's another aspect of storytelling.
Yeah.
And I think you probably feel this as a fisherman, and once you begin hunting, I'm sure the feeling will grow, but good luck killing an animal and not wanting to talk about it and not wanting to tell a story about it forever.
Yeah.
And so I think the meal, like that whole process, is just a part of that story that for some reason feels important to tell. And I don't really like to use the word important, and I don't mean it in a greater sense. I just mean it's important to me to tell it. If I'm gonna, I don't think that it's important that every person talk about their food incessantly. But if you feel, if you're killing animals and you're having a relationship with the land, and that's how you're feeding yourself, it's hard not to want to talk about that, because I mean, that's my life, literally. It almost feels, I'm not a religious person, but there's some people call it God, some people call it Gaia, some people call it hunting. Some, you know what I mean? Like, there's a million different words for it, but it's kind of like, it's hard you get like that evangelical impulse.
Yeah.
Once you start doing things that feel so good and so right, it's like, I got to tell someone, you know?
Yeah. I'm compelled to do this and I have to.
It's a compulsion for sure. And, you know, I don't give in to all of my compulsions, most of them, but that one is one that, you know, who knows if it's doing any good in the world, but it's not doing any harm.
Yeah.
So I feel okay about it.
I think it's doing,
at the end of the
I think
day.
it's doing a lot of good because like he also is the perfect culmination to a story. It like, because it's how you finish your day every day of your life anyway. So to be there with a writer, it does feel like a great culmination. And it's something I appreciate in your work is when I see that kind of stuff, because I know that like, I know in order for you to post it, you took care because it's, you know, you're not flippantly posting, you know, pictures at 10 a.m. of deviled eggs. Like it's a, you know, unless you've made them, but like at the same time, it's like, you know, I know that there's care involved in that too. And also a routine to it. It's like, you know, you harvest an animal, you do something with it and you use the whole animal. And I think that as I've gotten older, I find that routine has become more important to me. Even though I'm the worst at it, I'm so bad. I'd like to just squirrel off and go do something different every day. That's why I'm a touring musician. But I really appreciate routine. So I wanted to kind of, you know, ask a quick question about your writing process and how much of that is dictated by routine. Do you set up routines for yourself to do it? Or do you, you know, as we were talking about earlier, kind of wait for that other voice to really speak to you before you can?
I can't
Start.
afford to wait anymore.
Yeah.
That's how I used to. So I mean, for the majority of my life was an extremely private person about my writing. I never shared it with anyone. It was like it was a purely private pleasure. But now that I not only have the weekly appetites deadline, but I'm also writing for other people. I can't just, you know, walk around and wait for lightning to strike because we know how often that happens. So, I mean, like I said, I do try to just kind of live in waiting.
Yeah.
And I'm always like ready for something to show up, but I'm not like physically waiting. So my process now is, well, let's say for appetites, I usually keep a running list of ideas. And I also keep a running list, not just for appetites, but for writing in general, of words that I like, phrases that I like, song lyrics that I like, images. And then I make sure to like, I'll read those lists like every day, every other day. I'm always adding to them. And then when I go back and look often, you know, I'll be like, oh, this word is right for this thing I'm working on right now. So I do have to have a routine now, which is honestly one of the most challenging things that I've ever attempted to do is to sit at a desk regularly. It is a total 180 from how I used to live my life, which was farming and working as a professional forager and teaching foraging classes, which I still teach the classes. So that keeps me outside. But I have never sat this much. So that's been a learning curve. So I use those lists and then I'll just make a really conscious effort to like hold whatever, you know, if I'm writing an article for MeatEater or something like that, I'll know the deadline is this week and I'll just try to hold the topic in my mind and have it running in the background, even if I have to focus on something else. And honestly, like that's when a lot of the good stuff shows up, is when I'm not really trying to look at it, but it's just kind of like in the background. I'll be doing something else. Walking is great. Driving is great. for having those thoughts kind of like solidify and come to the forefront. And then, like I said, with the poem, like as soon as I get the first line down, then it just kind of pulls me along.
Do you have a tool that you keep with you to make sure in those moments where you're kind of half focused on it and doing something else, that you can capture the thoughts quickly?
Do you mean my phone?
I was gonna say, well, that's the thing. So like
or am I analog with a notebook in my pocket?
Well, so I use my phone all the time everybody uses their phone all the time, but I use the notepad on my phone all the time to write things down. However, I find that I have a much higher success rate finishing my thought or coming back to it if I've written it down with a pencil for some reason.
I do have a notebook, and that's where I begin my poems.
Cool.
That's where my first draft will be. So the list of words I used to keep on the back page of each notebook, but I found that keeping the list of words on my phone makes more sense. So the list of words and phrases and images and things like that is in my phone. But then sort of once something solidifies into like a first line or a first phrase, then I go to the notebook and I write all my first drafts longhand.
Cool.
And then usually the second draft too, and then I'll move it over to the computer.
Yeah. Do you have like a specific type of notebook that you have to write in?
Moleskin.
A moleskin. Yeah. Awesome. They're like heavyweight paper.
I don't know. It's just the only one I've ever had.
This is sell art supplies. So like it's ingrained in my head. It's like, I know all the different ones. I always hoped I would be that kind of person. I have a couple Blackwing notebooks that I really like and like try to focus on that. But turns out I'm much more of like a write on literally anything with any type of writing utensil that I can find.
Yeah.
And I just everything looks like a ransom note. And it's just all over the house. It's like how I write a song. So it's like, oh God, yeah, that's cool. Yeah. I have no.
But you got to transfer them to something else at some point.
Oh yeah. I usually just like collect them and then we'll type them out. You know, but I used to do a lot of writing on typewriters and I miss that. There's something that is so addictive and meditative about the sound of a typewriter that I've never been able to replace, even though I have the noisiest keys on my computer by design.
Oh, you wanted the clicky.
Oh yeah, I went full mechanic. Oh yeah, that's my other weird hobby thing would be like computer stuff that I picked up during the pandemic. I certainly, my life changed a good amount from being a touring musician to being stuck inside for a year and a half, which I was actually, it turns out you get on the other side and it's like, oh, I kind of was, in a weird way, I feel a little guilty about it, but kind of thankful for the time where an external force was like, sit down for a while. Cause I'm not a person who easily sits down and kind of operates at a slower speed. So it was nice to kind of, except for when I'm fishing. That's the only time in life. So it was nice to have someone be like, oh no, yeah, you got to stay here, and kind of rethink things. But sometimes I like, as a writer, do you find that you have are there certain like quick hacks that you can do to get into the mindset of writing, like something, is it like a specific, like having a cup of tea or coffee or like the sound of a typewriter or sitting in the sun or whatever it is? Like, is there does Jenna Rozelle have that one sweet spot where it's like, this is if I'm going to have to write right now, this is going to be my preferred state of being to write in. This helps the engine go.
No. I wish there was. I'm always looking for one.
Yeah,
I'm always looking for a hack.
Yeah.
To have that mind state be accessible on call, but no, I haven't found it. Not even close. Every day trying something new.
That's awesome.
I did experience recently, I gave up drinking coffee for a while.
Yeah.
And then,
sorry, as I sit next to you with a coffee.
Oh no, I'm back on the sauce. But my entryway back into drinking caffeine was occasionally I'll go to this bookstore cafe thing and write there if I just going crazy at home. And I had a cappuccino there after not having caffeine for a really long time. And that was a very interesting feeling. It was like probably a good 3 hours of euphoria. And I newly understood caffeine as the drug that it is. It was a really,
it sure is.
and I wrote really well that day, and I also like loved everybody that I saw unconditionally.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing.
Yeah, then you got to chase it forever. That's the tough thing about coffee. Well, a lot of things, but end up chasing it forever.
Yeah.
Are you, you know, I've writers and musicians. We all get the rap of, and which is justified in many circumstances. Certainly was for me when I was younger. But like the exploratory substance user, all that fun stuff. Like, do you give yourself permission to kind of jump into that space sometimes to write? Or I find it really difficult to be like, I don't like to, I've learned that I don't like to smoke weed or, take psychedelics before I get on stage because it just makes my anxiety. I'd rather have.
Did you learn that the hard way?
I sure did. Oh yeah, I learned it many times the hard way. But do you allow yourself? I have a tough time sometimes allowing myself to get into that, to use that stuff to get into a creative space. Because I want to do it without it. But do you allow yourself that kind of freedom?
Yes.
Awesome.
I do. I try not to. I guess now that you say it, this isn't a hack.
Yeah.
But pretty reliably, that like 1 or 2 hits off of a joint, maybe 1 beer.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That is a nice place to be in the brain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I try not to lean on it.
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
I can't do that in the morning.
Yeah. Well, unless you're Hunter S. Thompson, but let's say I like a pre-show. I like a bourbon or 2, and then I'm in the state of mind.
Yeah. I mean, they are tools and they work sometimes, but they can also work against you.
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah. Oh, definitely me too.
So yes, I do allow myself that, but I try not to lean on it. And I guess that's always kind of what I'm aiming at, is that feeling, is that like 2 hits and a beer feeling.
Yeah.
Because that brain space,
lucid, but still, not fearful.
It's open.
Yeah. Which is, if you can get there as a writer, in the morning, God bless you. Good Lord. Well,
morning is actually.
Is that your time to be creative?
Yes, immediately after I wake up. But it's so fleeting. Yeah. It's like I wake up in the mind state that I'm looking for. You know what I mean? Because like you said, there is something analogous to the dream state. But it only takes a few moments of being awake and the reality sets in, and then that state is gone. Yeah. And then I chase it for the rest of the day.
Oh yeah. I'm like, if I can pull off being really creative in the morning if I'm up at like 3 in the morning, because I'm a bad sleeper anyway, so I get up pretty early. But if I'm in bed and it's just about to be 7 o'clock in the morning, then I take an hour to sit with my coffee and stare out the window and can't do anything creative in that spot. But
yeah, if I feel like I've already missed my window, then it's a good time to read. And that will sometimes bring me back into it. That pretty reliably works. If I have the luxury of time to be able to read, then that can often get me closer to where I'm trying to be.
Yeah. Well, so it's possible book on the horizon. Anything else that you're really excited about right now that you want to jump into, that, just in life in general?
Life in general,
creatively, or just things that might inform creativity. We were just talking about you're going fishing today.
I'm gonna try to. Yeah.
You're going fly fishing. You're going casting.
I don't know how to fly fish.
What?
I just got a fly rod last fall.
You should go.
And I need someone to teach me.
I would definitely will.
Okay.
It'd be awesome. I love it. I grew up fly fishing, and it is, like I was kind of saying earlier, it's a fairly high energy, high anxiety person on a regular basis, but it is the one thing I can sit down in a boat for 7 hours or stand on the shore for 7 hours and cast thousands and thousands of times and never say a word, never move. It is my happy place for sure. And it's the least efficient way to catch fish. But that's I grew up with a grandfather who always used to say it's called fishing, not catching. It's like, as long as you
He's
taught me how to
right.
fly fish, he's very much right.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
my
I was thinking
record
about
is
that
anything to take-
earlier. Because I used to kind of identify as like a meat hunter or
Yeah.
a meat fisherman. Like I'm
Mhm.
doing this purely for the food,
Yeah.
which is bullshit.
Yeah.
And I think when I was thinking about fishing today and realizing that like whenever I'm thinking about fishing, I'm rarely thinking about the fish. I'm
Yeah.
thinking about the place. I'm
Uh-huh.
thinking, where am I going to go fishing? Where, where do I get to spend time?
Yeah.
Where do I want to be? And kind of the same thing with hunting, you know, sometimes I'll be like hyper focused on a deer. But often I'm like, where am I going to take a walk with a shotgun? You know what I mean? And it's just like, we're just finding reasons to be outside. You know what I mean?
Which is crazy that we have to, but it's nice.
I find that a lot with people who take my foraging classes. It's like, they're just looking for a reason to be outside because we need a reason for whatever reason.
Yeah. Is there anywhere in, I'm not sure if you consider yourself a naturalist, but I would consider you a naturalist for sure.
I don't know.
And like
the rules,
the school of people who write about the natural world and clearly have a big appreciation. It's kind of how I go that. But is there some wilderness in the world? I mean, wilderness is a tough word, but is there some natural place in the world that you haven't been that you really want to go and experience and learn about in the same way that you've learned about your own surroundings, the American Northeast?
Well,
I also couldn't leave Maine, so like,
right.
It's okay to say I just love it here.
I love it here.
Yeah, me too.
I'm kind of more of a like dive down instead of out kind of. I've never had like wanderlust. I'm like, I want to know everything about these 26 acres that I live on. You know what I mean? Like that's exciting to me. Not to say that I wouldn't love to travel. I tend not to, but that's not always because of desire. It's just expensive. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't, there's no other place that really calls to me specifically.
Well, and I think it is important when a person learns, if somebody knows everything about their place in the world, like their environment, it's also just as important because there's nowhere else like it. Your property is only that acreage that exists anywhere in the world, and there might be similarities, but like, somebody's got to know kind of what's going on.
Yeah. And that's fun for me.
Yeah.
To be that person, to have that relationship. Mm-hmm. I'm sure I'll think of somewhere that I really want to go after we're done here. But I have had a draw toward the Basque region.
Ooh,
but not necessarily for the landscape, but for the food, which I suppose is intertwined.
Yeah, for sure.
But they have all the food that I want.
Yeah. There's a big correlation I found touring as a musician between the food of an area and having a meal with someone and what the people are like that's like they are weirdly intrinsically tied together.
Oh my God, that would be so interesting.
It was like I always used to kind of be like, oh, Maine's not like that at all, but then I think really hard and I'm like, I don't know, it's exactly like that. It's like you don't gather for a meal unless you do some giant communal thing, and then you go your own separate way and do your own thing and then come back, and that's very much our people, which is cool. So but
pretty happy where I am.
Good.
It is good.
That is a great thing.
It is.
It's good. Create a person to know where they are. That's all I can ask.
Yes, I feel content.
I'm gonna find that poem that I was talking about earlier. Oh yeah, there was another. I'm sure we're probably close to an hour at this point, but there was another poem that you just released on appetites a question that I wrestle with everyone, like as a creative person, a lot. But it was, I want to say the line was, I'd never tried to, I never tried a cartwheel because
I was born already.
I was born already falling down.
I was born already tired of people watching me fall.
Yes. Yeah. That line.
You like it?
I love that. I absolutely read that line and fell in love with it. And it brought me to a very specific place, which is like, you know, I've had this conversation with a lot of people, but as a creative person, like the role of suffering that it, you know, plays in our work, in our lives, like how important do you think that role is? And, you know, what does it mean? I guess it, not just suffering, but it, like, we've talked a lot about how your work is really self-referential and self-experiential, and you know, do you consider, you know, that your work is kind of a mouthpiece to your own, like in helping people with their own experiences and suffering, like because you have suffered? Is that a prerequisite to making good work, is to have lived through difficult things?
I don't think so.
Good.
I hope not.
I hope not too.
I don't think so.
I lived as a young man. I lived for many years with that idea. Is that
right?
Like, because everything was so cathartic. All my writing was so cathartic, and it was just like, oh yeah, you know, I have to be in a bad relationship, or I have to have just broken up with someone to write a love song, and I have to, you know, do this. I need to be depressed to be able to write about my depression. You know, and as the years go by, I find that to be less and less true. But I always am curious about how many other creative people have found themselves in that space, or still find themselves in that space.
I absolutely operated that way, probably up until my mid-20s.
Yeah.
So I'm still kind of learning that there are other ways to get the work done. Poems about joy can be great poems. You know, poems can be funny. It did take me a while to learn that, but that's probably normal, right? For that stage of life, like everything is just so wrought and like angsty and important. It's so nice to have everything mean nothing. Nothing is important now. Like I'm a middle-aged woman. Nobody gives a shit. You know what I mean? That's very freeing.
I was gonna say there's so much freedom in that.
Yes, I love it.
The box kind of gets opened for you.
And then you get to really then you can write about anything. You know, it opens up a whole universe of material if you're not attached to that. You know, because you can write in any mood, whether you're depressed or not. Or, you know, like I like to write poems about my dog.
Oh, I haven't written a song about my dog yet, but there's some great songs out there about dogs.
Look at her.
Looking at Led Zeppelin, but our couch potato. I'm glad we both got dogs at the same time. So I don't know how I lived without a furry weirdo in my house, but that's how it goes.
That was great, guys. I really, listening to you both talking is I feel like I'm got to get a fishing rod, head out into the backcountry now. It's wonderful, so peaceful, slow pace of life. I really got a lot to learn.
Italy has some wonderful fly fishing. I hear so.
You know, and you're right on the Amalfi. I mean, there's got to be people fishing on the docks and piers and stuff all the time, right?
Yes, there are. Yes, maybe I should. I'm just too fast pace of living, I'm afraid. Here in podcast land, it's a jungle. Not the good kind. But you inspired. The most important question, Griffin, is: are you inspired for a song?
Yeah, very much so.
How does that part even work? You guys are going to do that together?
Oh, we'll talk about it.
Or we might. That just you? Or how does this part work? Jack, I've got to say, I'm only semi-familiar with the format of the podcast because yesterday and the day before, Griffin didn't really tell me like what we were doing. So I didn't have
We've
any
been a
way
year
to
setting this up.
Yeah.
I didn't have any like questions to prepare for. And I was like, so maybe I should prepare by watching a few episodes of the podcast. And then I went to look and then immediately was like overcome with anxiety when I saw who your guests were, your amazing lineup of guests. And so then for my own mental health, I chose not to watch your podcast because I would have been terrified.
Well, we had Cal from MeatEater. You're not our first MeatEater.
Yeah.
Ah, right.
Mhm.
Cal. I didn't know that. Cal's a great one. Yeah, I could talk to him all day.
Yeah. And
So what-
Dave Simonet did one too, I think, right? Did Dave do one?
I don't think so.
No. Okay. Maybe I just talked to him about doing one. Yeah, this took a long time to line up. So I'm often very guilty of forgetting what I've told people and what I haven't told people. So Jack's been working on this for well over a year at this point, and life has been crazy. But
He's been running on the reel.
you're right on the reel, exactly. Well, you landed me. We got it. This is
Yeah.
glad
We did it.
I'm glad it finally worked out to be this conversation and here at this time.
Yeah, and we need to give you a deadline. I think 1 week, because I've had it with many guests now that I give them too much line, and
I'll get right off.
yeah, no,
Right
it's
off the hook.
yeah, I don't want to wait another year for the song. So even if we can do production together, but you know, if you, I know you spit the songs out. So you know, if we get a demo within a week, that will make me happy. That would be like
that I can do.
That's like a doable thing for you. You can write a song in a week.
Yeah, I think that I'm working on some stuff with a new record right now, so I'll do some video production today too. But honestly, I might be able to get you a demo in the next couple of days, which would be. I have to write quick.
Did you already have a thought? Did you already
I did.
have a seed?
I did coming into this interview. I did, and it's because of that poem, Cathedral of Pines. It's like the imagery is so powerful that it's like, well, I kind of know how I want to structure the questions, and then
cool.
And also just use some of your own, if you don't mind, use some
Steal
of your words.
That's what writing
for the
is,
song,
right?
Yeah.
Thievery.
Yeah, with the art is theft, right?
The great artist steal, yes.
Yeah.
And do it in sonnet format, of course.
I will. Thank you for not writing in iambic pentameter for me, for everyone.
My pleasure.
I would have a tough time being doing. I've always wanted to explore poetry, and I have after this conversation, I might actually start. And I'd love the structure of having to do one a week, like you've been doing on Appetites. But I compulsively have to rhyme because of the songwriting thing. I feel like now if it doesn't rhyme, it really bugs the hell out of me. Which, if it's not to a melody, boy, is that annoying for everybody else who's reading it.
Yeah, that could be a rocky transition.
Yeah.
And depending on the subject matter, Jenna, could you do as a photo to go with the song, the artwork?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll hear the song first and then send a photo. That seems appropriate. I can send a few to choose from. Yeah.
We're really milking her this as much as we can get. Lyrics.
Lyrics,
could you whistle
photos,
a little tune before you?
Exactly. Yeah, if you want to come up with a melody too, that'd be great.
Can I dream one up?
Yeah, there we go. Oh, that's awesome.
Brilliant. Well, I'll put the links to all your guys. I've been checking out all your site where you've been chatting, Jenna, all the great photos, and I've got your link tree here. So I'll put everything in the show notes because I'm sure people listening to this will want to check you both out.
Yeah.
And then for you, Griffin, I'll put in all your links as well because but the song's going to play in a moment, guys. So don't go away. I want to thank both of you for a wonderful conversation.
Thanks for having
Thanks
us,
for having us, Jack.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
The moon is low and in the dark I call my prayers to the night.
Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the song and the episode. The song will be released next week. Will be available on all streaming platforms, but you can already pre-save. Please support the artists by following them on social media and adding the song to any playlists you have. This is a completely free show, and you've listened this far, so I'd really appreciate it if you could pay us back by clicking like and subscribe. And follow at Podsongs on social media platforms, or subscribe to the newsletter at podsongs.com for special updates. Or just tell the next person you see about this amazing show where musicians interview their idols and write a song about them. The songs are available for download from the Podsongs website as well, which pays a lot more than the 0.00 whatever we get from Spotify. You can also email me at jack@podsongs.com to give feedback, suggest an artist, and guest combos you'd like to hear, or just say hello. We're a listener-supported show, and I'd love to hear from you. A final thanks to my researchers, Dori Verbo and Rosa Marino, my producer, Maurizio Sanicola of Goldmine Records, and musicians Massimino Vozza and Luigi Falcione. The next episode will be out soon. In the meantime, you can listen to more amazing episodes in the archives. Until then, have a great day.